In this two-part video series, we're going to be ultimately working towards a flam drag. In my opinion, it's the most challenging of the 40 rudiments. And because it's so rigorous, I've decided to divide the instruction in half. We're going to be using, I think, about 4 techniques total, and this first video is going to deal with only 2 of them. We're going to talk about a technique which I call the belt, and another which I've gotten from an educational book which is called the perfect flam. We're going to start first with the belt because it's not only applicable to flam drags but to virtually anything that you play on the drums which has an accent pattern. So let's start with that. Now the belt technique is against what some others may have been instructed about downstrokes, accents, and tap strokes. But I find that it's far more efficient than squeezing the stick. But I'll show you what I mean by all of that. Think first about a belt that you wear around your waist. The function of the belt is just to keep your pants up. Your belt shouldn't squeeze your body, right? Nobody wants to leave their house with their belt constricting them because it's not comfortable, and you don't need to do that either. All that the belt has to do is keep your pants up. That's it. It only has to be tight enough that it gets the job done, right? That's what we're going to do with our downstrokes or our accent strokes. Okay, part of the flam drag, you know, it does come from a flam accent, which has an accent in it. Specifically, it has an accented stroke followed by a tap stroke, or like this. Accent, tap, or downstroke, tap stroke. The belt is what we're going to use to get a very clean downstroke. Let me tell you what we don't want to do. We don't want to squeeze the stick. Okay, so we're just talking about downstrokes here. So get a stick and a pad, lift up the stick, and do a downstroke. But don't squeeze the stick when you go down. I know that's what I've heard some people say to do, but I don't think that's necessary. If you just stop the stick, if you lift up the stick and your fingers are here, right? We're not like doing this, okay? We're not lifting up the stick and, you know, it's not my kind of style, I guess. Just lift up the stick like normal. Your fingers will rest on the stick gently. They'll be in contact with it, and that's it, okay? Then when you push the stick down, just keep your fingers where they are. Your fingers are locked. It's like the belt that we use on our body. When you lock your fingers and that stick hits the pad, now your fingers won't let the stick rebound. Like that. See what happened? I let my fingers go. Lock your fingers into place like a belt. Constrict the stick just enough that the stick does not come back up. The only thing I'm doing with my fingers right now is keeping them in place and in contact with the stick. Not doing this. And squeezing, right? Squeezing the downstroke. Let me show you how to do that with the left hand. The left, well, with traditional grip, I mean. In traditional grip, if we want the stick to rebound, what we do is we allow some space between our middle finger and our ring finger here. Maybe you can see it there. So if we want to apply the belt here as well, lift up the stick, and this space between your ring finger and the stick, don't let it emerge, okay? You want it to be closed. When you lift up the stick and when you drop it, if you keep a little bit of pressure between your index finger and your ring finger, it will stop the stick without you having to squeeze your entire hand, okay? That's the right way. Here's the wrong way. And squeezing the stick, you know, opening your fingers and then closing them. That's the idea behind the belt. But anyway, enough talk. I'm going to give you exercises to work on this controlling technique, okay? First one is bucks. That's just accent tap, accent tap. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If I were to try to squeeze on every single one of these strokes, it would make my body very tense for one. There's also no reason to do that. If you just lock your fingers, keep them in contact with the stick, but always in control of the stick, your accents are going to be a lot cleaner and you're going to have a greater contrast in those heights. Okay? It's not very cool if we say we can play accents and taps. Let's say I'm doing triples, but because I don't lock the fingers or control the stick with the fingers, this ends up happening. I mean, there's kind of an accent, but there's definitely no taps. You want a contrast to get that dynamic when you're playing it. And I'm not squeezing. And because I'm not squeezing, I can focus more on the speed and I can focus on the sound quality as well, because I'm not having to constantly open and close my hands while I do this. So first exercise was bucks. Second one, we can call it fours. Accent tap, tap, tap. Now left hand. With that traditional grip, remember, keep the distance between the ring finger and the stick closed. Not tense, right? A belt is not tight, ideally, it's just controlling. If you're going to practice any of these techniques the most, I would recommend that one. We're about to wrap up this first video. Again, the bulk of what we should practice is that belt technique. If you have any questions about that, you can put it in the comments or you can email me. Here's the perfect flam technique. This is from Mark Wessel's book, A Fresh Approach to the Snare Drum. Once you get this technique down, you'll always have a perfect flam. So I recommend this one a whole lot. Here's how we do that. We want to play a right hand flam. Lift up the right hand. Notice your left hand remained in the ready position. So here's ready position. I just lift up the right stick. Now here's what I'm going to do. You push down both of the sticks at the same time. You don't try to create a flam. You don't think like left then right. Instead, you think both at the same time. Why do we think both at the same time if we want to flam? Because if you position them at a different distance and they go down at the same rate, they won't hit at the same time, right? And just getting this distance right is the only thing you need to do to get a nice flam from this. You don't have to like worry of every time, okay, am I going to separate the left from the right at the exact same time every single time I play a flam? You don't have to do that. Let's do on the left hand now. Okay, you just, whatever hand is your accented hand, the non-grace note hand, you lift it up. Your grace note hand stays where it is, and you push both down at the same time. When that happens, you will naturally get a flam. Okay, you can practice these flams any way you want. So, maybe try 4 in a row on each. Keep that grace note hand low. If you can do that, you've got the technique. And then left side, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then try alternating them. And you have this kind of switch off going. So right hand up for that right hand flam. And as soon as you hit that flam, you switch your you switch your positions, okay? And then I'll do it in slow motion. This one hits. It's like this tap turns into an upstroke. Look at my left hand. Turn into an upstroke. Look at my right hand. Turn into an upstroke. And the accent always turns into a tap afterwards, okay? So that's the flam. For the final portion of this part 1 of the series, let's put these two techniques together, the perfect flam and the belt. I'm not going to squeeze the stick, I'm going to apply the belt idea. When I lift up the hand, the fingers are just on the stick. They don't go out. They simply follow it And then when we go down, I don't let the fingers go out. The fingers are like a belt, which keeps the stick in place. That's where the control on the downstroke comes from. Lift up for a perfect flam and apply the belt. That's what I'm doing with my right hand. Once you have that comfortable, let's put 3 taps in the right hand after that. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? If you do this on the right hand and you practice it on the left hand, then you will have developed what each hand individually is doing for the flam accent. Okay, watch this. I'll do some flam accents, and then I'm going to take my left hand away. Okay, so we'll just do it with the flam anyway to apply it, but that's what your right hand's doing in a flam accent. Last thing, let's do it off the left. Perfect flam first. Lift up the left stick. Keep that right hand grace note down. Apply the belt. Just control the stick by getting rid of a space between your stick and your ring finger. Accent, tap, tap, tap. Accent, tap, tap, tap. Pop, 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 pop. There you have the 2 main ideas from this video. Belt, perfect flam. If you have any questions about those, or if you find any of this unclear, please email me or leave a comment. I'll be posting part 2 pretty soon here as well, so be sure to check that out for the entire Flam Drag.